Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm going to wait just a moment before I get started on this live that I've titled Pitch Problems, because I see a lot of the same issue with a lot of my singers, people who I coach, people who I sing with. Whether it's someone who has a lot of experience singing or someone who is kind of just getting started, I see a lot of the same issues. Mainly three of them. And there may be some others that I'm not going to mention in this video that if you think of them, you can add it to what I'm about to say. But if you're a singer, or you aspire to be a singer, or you're in a choir, or you're having trouble in the studio, or there's something going on with pitch and you don't know what it is, I'm hoping one of the three things that I'm going to mention are going to point out what your challenge or your struggle or your problem is and help you in a way, and maybe guide you in the direction of the help that you need to take your voice, to take your singing to the next level. Okay? I love ear training. It's what I live for. So I really want to help people with this, because people are struggling with the voice. They're struggling with staying in key. They're struggling with finding notes, holding on to those notes. They're struggling with making the sound that's going on in their head match the sound that's coming out of their mouth. So I want to reconnect people back to their bodies, or reconnect their bodies back to their mind, or find out wherever the connection has been severed, and get people thinking about what they hear and singing what they thought about. You understand? Get people receiving sound the right way, and get people releasing sound the right way. So I want to help somebody with that before I go to bed. And I might end up doing some more of this kind of stuff. And like I said, if this helps you in any way, maybe that means this is an area where you can go for some vocal lessons. And also, you have to make sure you're with the right coach for these things, because not everyone who can teach you how to replicate sound can teach you how to replicate a sound. Okay, here's me replicating sound. La la la, la la la. I replicated sound, right? But now let me replicate the specific sound. La la la, la la la. Now it was the same. So not everyone knows how to do that. And then there are people who know how to do that, but can't tell when they've gone astray. So they have to sit by a piano constantly to make sure that they're getting themselves back in key. Now that's not an abnormal thing. There are people who are at the top of their music careers right now, who have made millions or even billions of dollars off of music, off of singing, and still can't stay in key without the help of something that grounds them. Like, they need to be able to hear their tonic or their tonal center at a distance, so that they don't get lost. All right, so now let me help somebody. I'm gonna turn this thing around, use my handy dandy board. I was not prepared for this. It was just on my heart to do. So I kind of just wrote it out and said, somebody's going to get something out of this. I'm going to start with this one right here. This is I made up all these names. They actually mean something, but I have to find the exact musical terminology for these things. Let's start with this one right here. Unrelated pitch. That is a very, 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 very common one. And if you're struggling with this, it's okay. It's a mild issue, okay? Very mild issue. Also, what I would like to do in the future, maybe not tonight since I didn't give anybody a chance to prepare, but hey, even tonight even, if someone wants to join me in on these things, let's say after I explain these things, you're like, hey, can you use me as an example and let me just jump online with you? I got my my teeth brush and my wig on. Can I jump online with you and you can show me what I'm doing with where I am with these three things? All right. I'm willing to do that. Let's start with unrelated pitch, right? What I mean by this, I don't know if any of you have heard of relative pitch. Relative pitch is when you can hear a note, C, and use that to figure out what all the other notes are. So let's say I gave you this one, C, and you know D, E, F, C, B, A, G. You can find that, right? You don't really have much of a problem once you find this. But somewhere along the line, your C starts to become something else. So let's say C is the tonal center. For that, I'm going to write T. To the right, my sound is going to get higher. And to the left, my sound is going to get lower. Now, higher and lower is not volume here. Higher and lower is pitch. So I'm not crescendoing here and then diminuendo here. And this is not getting lower in volume here and higher in volume here. A lot of people associate higher with louder. But when we're talking about pitch or tone, or keys, or sound, we're not talking about volume. We're talking about the frequency or something like that. All right, so the pitch is raising to the right and lowering to the left used on this graph. Okay, so higher is this way, lower is that way. Now let's say the person has to sing C, D, F, E, A, G, C. All right, got C, D, F, E, A, G, C. Right? This is what happens over time, right? Remember, to the right is higher, to the left is lower. Let's say the person finds themselves getting sharp after they sing a line like this. This is what will be happening. C, D, F, E, A, G, C. Now listen to where C just ended up. C. This C is actually closer to C sharp, meaning I raised it an entire half step or a half tone away from its original starting place. C, that's where we started. C sharp is where we ended up, because along the way there was a gradual change in pitch that the person didn't notice. So then when they hear C again, C, they're like, wait a second, how did I get over here if I started here? So if this is your issue, then you got a very minor issue, okay? Not a lot of people have the extensive ear training or what they believe is the natural gift to just be able to stay in key. Now, I have perfect pitch. I didn't wake up one morning to have perfect pitch. It didn't just happen to me. And guess what? When I stop working on pitch, I start to go out of being in perfect pitch. And my B's and my C's start to sound like each other, and I'm not sure which key I'm in. So even I have to take time and practice. How do I practice? I find an instrument that is very in tune, and I line my voice up to that instrument. If I hear C, I'll sing C, but I won't just sing it. I'll hold it. I'll hold it for like 8 seconds. I'll meditate on the sound. Like, people think that if you tell them, okay, for this vocal lesson, we're going to spend an hour just singing C, they'll think, let me find another coach, because this guy ain't teaching me nothing, right? Yeah, sure he ain't. I sat in front of a piano at a very young age, playing in 2 keys, C and F sharp. And I wasn't really playing. I was just hitting the notes C or hitting the note F sharp, and getting myself so familiar with where C was and where F sharp was. I didn't know I was training myself. I just thought I was enjoying hearing the sound. Right? I had no idea I was training myself. My grandmother, this is the reason why it happened. My grandmother only played in 2 keys. In the church every Sunday, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because, when I was young, we were in church every single day. We even lived in the church at one time. She only played in these 2 keys. Let me show you where those keys are, all right? I'm going to show you. I'm going to draw a little piano for you. You're going to see this piano again later. It's my makeshift instant piano. All right. There are a group of 2 black keys and a group of 3 black keys. In a group of 2 black keys, the first white key is called C. There it is right there. There is C. In a group of 3 black keys, the first black key is called F sharp. So, Grandma only played in 2 keys, C and F sharp. If the song was if it was a song, the tonal center was either going to be one of these 2 things. So if you hear that every single day from the time you were born till when you're my age, guess what? You're going to have something called relative pitch. Notice how, there it is. A pitch you can relate to. A pitch that rings in your head even when you don't hear any more sound. It's just going to stick with you. C, you're always going to hear it. F sharp, you're always going to hear it. How do I know this? Well, it's not just me. If you go to a guitar center and find somebody who works in the guitar section, right? Someone who plays guitar and has to tune guitars every single day because they literally work in guitar center. I bet the person who's tuning the guitars is not going to pick up a pitch finder. Well, then how do they know? How do they know when they've tuned it correctly? They live with the practice. Every single day they're tuning over and over again. Because they live with the practice, they've developed something called relative pitch. They can hear it, they can find it, and some even have perfect. Now, perfect pitch is a little bit different. Perfect pitch is when you can hear any one of what I'm writing down and just hear it in your head without actually hearing it, without having someone play it for you. Let me show you how that works real quick. C, F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B, E, A, D, G. Now I'm doing something very important when I sing these notes. I'm listening to the notes. I don't just think the sound and then make a sound. I think the sound and listen to the sound that I'm making to make sure it lines up with the sound that I'm thinking. All right? So, this is going to bring us to dissociated pitch. I just made that up too. Okay. Let's say you think about you hear the sound correctly. You got good ears. You got awesome ears. Look, that's an ear, by the way. I can't draw ears. But anyway, you got awesome ears. You hear the sound. You heard it correctly. But when the sound leaves your mouth, you're no longer singing the correct sound. For some reason, you dissociated with the sound as soon as it has left you. So you hear C and you think C, but you sing C. That's closer to this, actually. You think C, but you sing B flat. And then, let me tell you what happens. Now I'm going to draw another thing that I can't draw too well. Hopefully somebody can tell what this is. Oh my God, that's the worst face I've ever drawn in my life. What is wrong with that guy? Let me draw some eyes. Maybe that'll help. Oh, he's angry. He better be angry because his sound's not good. All right, now, in his brain, that's a brain, right? He heard C. That's what we sang to him, right? He heard C. And he thought C, but he hasn't trained his body to replicate the sounds that he's thinking. So he may accidentally sing this, B, while still calling it C. So he's singing B sharp. He calls it B, but he's making, he calls it C, but he's making this sound instead. B, right? So what happens after that? After he hears B come out of him, he reprograms his thoughts. Now he's thinking what he heard himself do was what he meant to do. So he changed his mind about his sound. He thought C. He had C in his mind, but then B came out of his mouth. So he went back to his mind and said, okay, that's the new standard of C. So now when he thinks C, he'll be singing B, but calling it C. Okay, see how that happens? So he didn't follow the sound as it came out of his mouth. Now, one of the ways we can fix that problem is by going back to an instrument that is well tuned, and for every single note that we sing, do exactly what we did for relative pitch. Go back and just check and make sure it's right. Make sure your C is actually your C. Make sure your B is actually your B. And it may take some time where you're just checking very often, but it'll be better than allowing yourself to get so far away from what is right that you end up becoming this person over here, cognitive dissonance. We'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, with this person, they just need to kind of do this. Let me draw this. I'll just do this. So they sang C, and then you gave them this. Let's say we gave them C, D, and E, right? You gave them 3 notes. C, D, E. They got C right. C is good by itself. D, they got D right by itself. E, they got E right by itself. But as soon as you did this, now notice what I'm going to do with the first 3 notes. This is going to be very interesting to me at least, and this is a lot of people's problem. They'll sing C, D, E. Okay, I got it. C, D, E, C, D, E. They'll even make a little song out of it. C, D, E, C, D, E. Come on. C, D, E, C, D, E. They'll make a song out of it. But that song is about to do them a lot of harm. Because now when they see D, E, C, guess what they're about to do? D, E, C, D, E, C. They're singing the same C, D, E melody because they think as long as they're singing the melody and changing the letters that they're saying, they're doing something right. So, common problem. So you dissociate the sound and the letter that represents it with each other. So this is what that person's actually doing. They hear C, they hear D, and they hear E. Now, what's the difference between these squiggly lines? Not much, right? So I can mix and arrange. This is my sound. This represents sound, and this represents what we're calling the sound. So if the sounds look the same or sound the same to a person, no matter what arrangement you have of these letters, they're going to probably sing the same melody. So this is how we fix that. We don't just give sound a name, we give it a place. Notice how the place I'm giving them, one is higher than the other. This is why you see something called a staff. A staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces. When you're learning music theory or how to read music, you're going to see a staff at some point. Why? Because this helps you to put sound in perspective. Get out of your head with it. C, D, E. That's going to help you to remember that one has to be higher than the other so that you don't end up doing this. C, E, D, or E, D, C, where you're singing the melody C, D, E, but rearranging the letters. You need to get them connected. You need to know that C has to be lower than D, and D has to be lower than E. Sound needs to start doing this to you. Sound can't just be doing this to you, okay? You can't flatline your sound, changing the letter, but not the pitch. You can't do that. So this is what we're going to work with that person on, getting them to move their sound in the direction that it's supposed to go, not just with their mouths, but with their mind, okay? Associate higher sounds with a higher place, lower sounds with the lower place. And if we don't do that, we're going to end up with this person here. Cognitive dissonance. That's when every piece of musical information that you receive is wrong. It's off. Every piece of music. You do this. You sing C, and they'll go, okay, I'll do that. C, no, C, 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 C. I know everyone who's ever trained anyone has heard somebody do this. Watch this. I'm going to write down the letter names of the person that the person is singing when they repeat the sound. They'll go, C. I'll say C, and they'll say C. They'll actually sing F, calling it C. 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 C, 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 C. Wait. You got it. You got it. That one right there. That one you just did, the last one you did. Do it again. C, C. Oh, lost it again. You've seen this before. And if you're a coach, you were probably tempted to get frustrated with this person. You probably was thinking violence. You started to see blood. Don't do it. Be patient. Some people are totally disconnected with this. Is what, can you imagine what it's like if you're frustrated hearing them do all of this when you just want them to do that? Imagine how frustrated they are when all of this is going in their head and they're just trying to do the right thing. They're just trying to do what you asked them to do, but this is what they're dealing with. All of this is happening. So what you got to do as a teacher is start to clear up all of this. And the way you do that is when they find the right one, have them do it again. Have them do it again. And then when they think they got it, have them do it again. And then when you think they got it, have them do it again. As a matter of fact, whip your piano back out. Whip it out. You need that piano. That piano is your friend, okay? It's going to help you if you don't have perfect pitch to make sure you're teaching them right. You need an instrument that is always going to be right, even when you're wrong. Have them sing C again, but don't let them get off of it for at least 8 seconds. C. Good. How you feeling? I'm feeling good. I think I could do it. All right, let's do it again. C. Now, if you notice this starts to happen, remember, T is going to represent tonal center. To the right is higher, to the left is lower. C. If that is happening, you got to point it out. You got to address it. Show them what their sound is doing. If they can't understand from hearing you, show them. If your piano or keyboard has a pitch bender, get to that pitch bender and bend it so that they can hear what they're doing. Because if they're experiencing cognitive dissonance, they've gone past dissociated pitch. Dissociated pitch is when you think of the right sound, but when the sound leaves your mouth, something else comes out and you don't realize it. But cognitive dissonance is when all the information you're receiving is wrong. So you need to show them what it looks like to do what they're doing, or record it and then play it back to them. Play back to them what the wrong thing is, and then play to them what the right thing is. Teach them to hear the difference. And eventually, this person that has been called tone deaf their whole life, they're going to have a breakthrough. And they're going to do this. C. All the way down the middle. And once you get that, once this happens, you can work with them on all the other notes the same way. And eventually move them to this. When we get here, we're one step closer to this. And once we got that handled, we got somebody who can be a candidate for that. And when they're ready for this, send them to me. Amen. Thank you, Jesus. All right. Love you all. I hope you all learned something tonight. I'm just trying to help somebody because I see so many people with this issue. And maybe this will show them why they need a teacher. Maybe this will expose something and get them thinking on the right track. Whether they're a singer, professional, or just in the shower, or choir member, or recording artist, whatever, you might need this. So, all right, I'm out of here. It's late. Good night, everybody. Hit me up if you need those lessons or let me at least point you in the right direction by telling you what it is that you need. Thank you for watching, everyone. And maybe next time I'll do something like this and some people can join in, like someone who thinks that they can do all these things. Great. I'd love to see it. And you can show other people how it can be done. Or someone who's not sure if they're having a challenge that they want to deal with. Great. Join in. Let's start to talk about it right there on the spot. And if you know something that I didn't point out in this video, please leave it in the comments. Next time I want to do something to get the full picture of what's going on with this thing I call the science of sound, the universe of music. I want people to teach me. I'm teachable, and I want to help people that are struggling to learn. Right?